Hi everyone, welcome back. My name is Dimitra. I'm the events manager for Mauve Group, and today I'm going to be talking about a new buzzword that's been circulating the space of global mobility, and that is the term dispersed employees. I'm going to talk about what the term dispersed employees means, what are the factors that have led to dispersed employees during COVID-19, what are the challenges of dispersed employment, and finally, what solutions exist to support dispersed employees. So let's jump straight into it. Dispersed employees are any workers that have been permitted to work outside their normal or assigned office location or country of work, often suddenly or unexpectedly in the wake of a certain situation or challenge. So in the context of the current COVID-19 pandemic, dispersed employees are any workers that have traveled to a different location and are working there as a direct result of the virus. Next, I'm going to talk about the factors that have led to dispersed employees during COVID-19. Now, of course, there's many reasons, but some of the most frequent ones that we've experienced with our clients include closure of office locations or office capacity reductions for social distancing purposes, emergency moves from virus-hit areas, grounding in one location due to travel restrictions and lockdowns, closer proximity to family and friends, which is something that applies to me. I normally work in the UK, but a couple months ago I flew to Cyprus to be with my family during this time, and I'm now just waiting for the right time to go back. Caregiving responsibilities, moves to second residences during lockdown, a desire to find a more comfortable place to settle during lockdown, for example, outside of urban areas, seeking better infrastructure, healthcare, and lower potential for volatility, and finally, furlough, taking the opportunity to spend time elsewhere while furloughed. And it's important to mention on this point that the duty of care of the employer does not stop at furloughed workers. It's important to still keep in touch with them, to keep contact, to know what they're doing in order to ensure a smoother transition back into work when the time comes. What are the challenges of dispersed employment? Now, there's many challenges faced by employers, but I'm only going to talk about a few of the main ones now. But do check out our article where you'll find a lot more and in a lot more detail. Dispersed employment is a huge challenge for employers because of the rapid and sometimes unplanned nature of the movement. Add to that the subsequent resource constraints of tracking that employee or indeed an entire workforce. In fact, we're finding out from a lot of our clients that the true picture of dispersed employees in their companies is completely unknown because of the lack of planning and standardized processes in the early stages of the pandemic, which is why we also highlight, and we have a video talking about this, how important it is to have these plans and have these processes in place from the very beginning. Not for just general reasons, but especially for emergency situations. So I'll have that video linked down below, check it out. Employers or HR teams must maintain regular contact with the worker to determine their location and status. But of course, the challenge here is that you have decreased resources due to the financial impact of the virus and increased workloads as a result of staff reductions. Compliance issues are an additional factor. So if a worker moves to a country or location and is carrying out business activities, then the employer has a duty to ensure that those business activities comply with local legislation. So of course, the challenge here becomes if the worker has moved to a location that is outside the company's network, then HR and management may not have the knowledge of that area to ensure absolute compliance. Additional challenges can arise in ensuring that the worker's chosen work location is suitable from a productivity and well-being standpoint. So do they have the space, the means, and the materials they need to work safely and efficiently? Considerations should be made in order to ensure business continuity, especially if the location is to become long-term. Finally, we've come to, I think, the most important part for employers, which is what solutions exist in order to support dispersed employees. Number one, employer of record. If you do not have your own entity in the dispersed worker's current location, but you want to ensure that they're engaged with the utmost compliance, then employer of record could be your answer. A provider like Move Group will employ the worker through its registered company in their current location and provide compliant contracts, payroll and HR support in that location as the legal employer. And it's important to note in this situation that these can be both short-term engagements as well as long-term engagements if the dispersed employee decides to stay in that location. Number 2, compliance consultancy. Compliance experts can provide consultancy reports based on the individual circumstances of the dispersed employee. These reports can focus on advice and red flags around topics such as tax liability, risk of permanent establishment, local employment legislations, and more. Number 3, visa and immigration support. For workers that are not local nationals, a trusted partner can advise on any developing travel restrictions and the best immigration options considering the worker's current status in country. Number 4, local payroll. If the worker requires salary payment in their current location to ensure they have local funds, you can engage a payroll company to action this. A payroll provider can also provide consultancy on local salary benchmarks, appropriate benefits and expenses, and any COVID reliefs or incentives provided by governments. Finally, number 5, employee tracking, emergency response, and workforce resilience programs. International security companies can provide employee tracking and tailored emergency response solutions to help keep your dispersed employees safe. They can also help you to build a long-term plan to ensure resilience and best use of resources in future emergency scenarios. Move Group has partnerships with 2 market leaders in this area and can introduce you to their insights. That covers everything for today. As I said previously, you can find a lot more detail in our article, so I'll have that linked below. You can check it out. If your company has responsibility for dispersed employees and needs solutions to make the most of your resources, then engaging an expert company such as Move Group is really worth considering in order to avoid any problems that could land your company in serious trouble. So get in touch with us for a free phone consultation. Thank you all for watching. On behalf of everyone at Move, we hope that you're staying safe, we hope that you're doing well, and I'll see you next week.